Julius Daulo Jolokon Nelson Jr.
Thank you.
We're hoping that everyone is set recorders. If you want to take a very good shot of the president with the flag behind him, I encourage you to please do so now, because when the conference starts, we don't have any walking around. So if you want to take a picture for those who are in print, please, you can take your picture now.
Welcome. Coming up next is a news conference from the University of Liberia. So if you're just joining us, we want to welcome you to Spawn TV Live.
Ladies and gentlemen of the press, members of the University of Liberia family, the general public, one and all. On the 21st of June 2021, the Incident Management Team and the Ministry of Health announced that the Delta variant of COVID-19 had hit our shores, and Liberia was experiencing a new wave of infection of this deadlier and more contagious variant. Existing health protocols were revised and reinforced. The University of Liberia was then in the process of commencing the second semester of academic year 2020-2021. As a public university that is concerned not just with academics, but also the physical well-being of our faculty, students, and staff, we were constrained to make some adjustments. Against the new reality, the UL administration consulted with students through their representatives, with faculty through the UL Faculty Association, and staff through the UL Staff Association, the UL Joint Administrative Council and Faculty Senate, and arrived at the decision to run a fully online semester with flexibility in a bid to eliminate the possibility of a contingent involving students or members of the faculty on any of our campuses. We consulted with the government of Liberia through the Ministry of Education and the National Commission on Higher Education, and gave reasons beyond our decision to conduct a full online semester with flexibility. Unfortunately, the start of the e-learning semester was delayed by more than 2 weeks due to a combination of technical and non-technical challenges, which pushed us into additional consultation with all the stakeholders and partners, GSM companies, the Liberian Telecommunication Authority, and the TEPCO were approaching through the initiative of the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning to address the question of reliable internet access for students and faculty. Let me use this occasion to thank the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning for its tremendous assistance in helping to facilitate these additional consultations. However, due to some unexpected technical difficulties encountered while integrating our system, the module e-learning platform experienced some performance issues right at the beginning of the semester. These issues led to challenges faced by both our faculty and our students. Our technical team, in collaboration with our service providers, were diligently working towards a solution when the August 2nd incident occurred. During this period, however, we have also kept track of the COVID-19 situation and changes in the number reported by our health authorities in the Republic of Liberia. These numbers now indicate a significant decline in infection rate, improvement in the statistics, and the availability of a new batch of vaccine, as well as rapid testing kits, provided us an opportunity to rethink and conduct of our second semester 2020-2021. On the basis of these developments, and in consultation with all stakeholders, the University of Liberia hereby announced a revert to the blended learning for the current semester. This allows us to have as many traditional in-person classes as possible from the perspective of full adherence to health guidelines which are still in effect, and then as much e-learning or online learning as necessary. Cognizant of the fact that Liberia is not yet fully out of the third wave of the COVID-19 spread, and that health protocols are still in place, participation in the traditional learning aspect of this blended learning semester is conditional. 1. Everyone must wash hands at the gates of our campuses and wear face masks at all times while on campus. 2. Students signing up for the in-person sections are highly encouraged to take the COVID-19 vaccine or must present at the specified interval negative rapid test results. 3. The number of students allowed in a section will be determined by the size of the room assigned. And 4. University employees and students are expected to uphold all other aspects of the revised COVID-19 guidelines released by our health authorities here in our country. With these changes affecting the conduct of the current semester, a new calendar of activities has been released by our Office of Academic Affairs. Classes will then resume on Wednesday, August 25th, 2021, and end on Saturday, November 27, 2021. Members of the Fourth Estate, recently aggrieved students of the University of Liberia, saddened by the technical challenges associated with the fall e-learning semester, elected to exercise their option of expressing discontentment through protest on the Capitol Hill campus. While this is allowed at the University of Liberia, unfortunately degenerated into a violent episode and was extended beyond the campus perimeters. There are reports of multiple injuries sustained by students and staff, as well as destruction of properties on the Capitol Hill campus and in parts of Seneca. We strongly condemn these acts of violence perpetuated by some of our students and assure all that at the conclusion of the ongoing investigation, those found culpable will bear the full weight of the rules and regulations of the University Revised Student Handbook. The right to protest can be exercised without resorting to violence or compromising public peace and safety. Violence has never resolved any problem in the history of the Republic of Liberia. That is why we continuously teach men and women of the University of Liberia to choose dialogue over violence as a path to resolution of grievances while respecting their rights to peaceful assembly and protest, as well as the rights of other people who engage the campuses of the university. Ladies and gentlemen of the press and members of the public, as we return to class after Flag Day, we appeal to men and women of this great university to be patient, cooperative, and be assured that the administration is resolved to give students the best possible learning experience during these COVID-19 trying conditions. Thanks to all members of the University of Liberia family, as well as our strategic partners for the immeasurable support as we brace ourselves for an amazing blended learning experience beginning August 25th, 2021. Thank you and happy Flag Day in advance.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the Fourth Estate, the President has spoken. That was the official statement of the University of Liberia. We will take a couple of questions, and during this period, I will be coordinating a question and answer period in close consultation with the Vice President for the organization. Questions? What's our response? Please state your name, the institution, and then your question.
Good morning. My name is James S. Gude Flomo. I report for Spoon FM and TV. Mr. President, thank you for the news conference. But there's this concern. Students of the University of Liberia who already plan their courses, including me, How are they going to do it? Are you going to cancel the entire planning and restart the process? That's my concern and the concerns of many students.
We'll take another question from Jutulu from OKFM. Prime FM.
Good morning, I'm Jutulu Koli. I come from Prime FM. Thanks for the press conference this morning, Mr. President. And many might turn your decision to resume classes as yielding to the demands or pressure from the student body. I want to know if you bow to the pressure from the student body.
Okay, we'll take a third question. Your name, institution, and your question.
Good morning, Mr. President. I'm Charles Davidson. I report for ERPC. My question has to do with now you are reversing to the blended learning activities, like you said. But will the e-learning still be in place? Will it be something like optional for students who might not want to come back to class and would like to do online learning? Because, as you stated, the pandemic is still in the pandemic. So, would that be optional, or are you canceling it totally?
Thank you.
We'll go to the president.
Thank you so much for the questions, and I'm happy to provide responses for your question. Every semester, students who are at the university have the option to be current student or not to be current student. And so we only know that you are a current student when you go through the specific registration. When we say blended learning, it means that we have an option for face-to-face and online. That's why it is blended learning, to ensure that beyond COVID-19, if there any other pandemic we will experience, we won't have to shut down the university as we experienced during the Ebola situation. And the university made a decision that going forward, we will be a blended learning university. And that's what we did. And in the last first semester of academic 2020-2021, we had a blended learning semester. The percentages, it will vary in the process because there were some of our professors who were ready for online and they did that part, the students face the face-to-face. But at that time, we were working in the old health protocol. The decision of the government of Liberia, in light of the Delta variant, to introduce a new health protocol that was restricting people gathering from beyond 20. The university with 20,000 students had no option. And within that context, we did a consultation and we knew, for example, our bus that carries students to Finder is 65-seater. Sometimes you have 90, 100 on them. And it was not possible to have the blended learning going on with transporting students back and forward in the context of that new health protocol that was issued by the government of Liberia after the Delta variant entered our country. And so we made the decision that we have the online learning going ahead with the flexibility that some classes will be face-to-face depending on that particular department for laboratory situation, practical learning, or teachers' college in that light, in that being involved. But every time we open a school year, it is optional for the men and women of the university to come to school or not to come to school. So it should not be seen that when we open school, there's a compulsion by everybody that you must come. But if you want to be a student to graduate on schedule, you have that option. That's why we say boys and girls don't come to the university. Men and women come to the University of Liberia. And so if you believe that tertiary education is in your interest, you go and register. And when you get registration complete, then you are a current student of the university. It is that way we know that you are a current student and work with you through that semester, ensure that we have the faculty in place so that learning can continue. Thank you for the issue of pressure from the students. You know, the university is a wonderful place. We got pressure from everybody. You know, every time we say the macrocosm of the Liberian society, there's a lot of meaning to that. At this university, where you're in administration of the university, you get pressure from all fronts, not only for students. But you see, we are making this announcement after consulting with the Minister of Health, who have assured us, yes, we got more vaccine in town. We can make room for the university in addition to all the other places earmarked for people taking their vaccine. We will put logistics in place to add additional places so that the 20,000 students, 5,000 employees of the university can all be assured to take the vaccine. And if we take the vaccine, we have reduced the possibilities of what we will experience if we did not have the vaccine in time. And that is why, in light of the new information we have, with the possibility in the next 2 weeks for faculty, staff, and students to get their vaccine voluntarily, we are making this arrangement, but to ensure now for the face-to-face opportunity, if you come into the class, you will make sure that we show us a vaccine card or code, some way to know that you are taking the vaccine in that process. Because it is not possible for a university of 20,000 students making room for 10 to 12,000 to have a traditional face-to-face, for the university, the public institution, not to observe the health protocol. It is not possible. And since we are being assured and we are encouraging our students, our faculty and staff to voluntarily go and take the vaccine, we believe we are putting the preventive measure into place, while at the same time, the health protocol with all the logistics will be in place so that the community will take into consideration the health of the community vis-a-vis the academics of the community. You know, we say health is wealth. If you're not healthy, you will not be able to come to school. And if for some reason the university, the premier institution of higher learning, forget the health protocol, that will be a problem in the first place. Why would the University of Liberia not follow the public health emergency protocol that has been put in place? And so we are all reasonable people. We must understand as the public institution, when there's a public health emergency, all of us citizens of Liberia should abide by the public health emergency. It was in that context we made a decision through consultation, through a decision of our joint council and senate, but it was unfortunate that we had all the other pressures on board. So if you want to fly with it as president for the student, wonderful. But I know as president of the university, being around for more than 14, 15 years, the pressure that you get as administrator is more than only student. And so we are taking all of that into consideration. How be it is the university. We pick up our pieces, put the appropriate thing into place with the help of the incident management team and all our stakeholders, and we are happy with the understanding of our faculty, staff, and students that we consulted between Thursday and Saturday. We are now at this point to put a way forward in place for all of us to cooperate so that teaching and learning will occur here at the University of Liberia. Registration all over. I don't believe so because registration is still in process. Between now and the end of this week, the academic team, after discussion with the chairperson and deans of colleges, will then differentiate those that will be online and those that will be face-to-face. In that light, students will have the opportunity between now and the end of August to see which section, whether they will stick to the online or those that will choose to go the traditional face-to-face, all of that will be in place. And so if you are registered and you don't want to go face-to-face, you got no problem. If you register, you want to meet a church to do some of the classes face-to-face, that opportunity will be provided for you, and you have that opportunity to do your adjustment in your schedule that will be of benefit to you, because you don't want the appropriate schedule you want to run. And in the context of what we have announced, that provision will be made for students to make the appropriate adjustments.
Okay, Mr. President, thank you. We'll take additional 3 more questions, and then we have one follow-up, and then one more question. Any other person?
I just want to do a follow-up.
Okay, we have 2 follow-ups. I'll have to pause that for now. Let's get new perspective, and then we'll come back to you.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. My name is Henson Dega, and I do report for Truth FM. I listen to your deliberation, well, especially the issue that has to do with the students' violence. And I would like to know whether under your administration, you will be able to set the precedent wherein if investigation will be conducted into the recent situation, there will be a precedent set on those found culpable.
Any other question before we go to the follow-up? Okay, Spoon TV.
Yeah, again, James Flomo. My follow-up has to do with the part where you said those who plan. For an example, I planned when it was announced that we're doing 100% e-learning, and I submitted my courses, meaning I cannot go by and edit. So there are thousands of men out there who did that because we wanted to be in time with the schedule. So our point now is will we be allowed to cancel those planning that we did and submitted them, and then take the new schedule you're going to come up with? That's the concern that so many of us who did previously are facing with today.
When I answer that question, when I say adjustment will be made, that's why it calls for. When you're making the adjustment, you will change to what you prefer in this new dispensation to move forward. Even though I didn't say cancel, as you are using, but making adjustment will vary from student to student. And that's what I meant by student making the appropriate adjustment after the deans and chairperson make the appropriate situation, say which classes will remain online and which will be face-to-face. At that time, you then have the liberty to make the appropriate adjustment, and then you go forward from there. Precedent this time, maybe it's good to know that before I became president, I was vice president and dean of students for over 14 years at the university. And so they will not be the first time. This university, at different time, when disturbances occur at the university that tend to violence, there is always an investigation. And so the Office of Student Affairs right now is going through the process of investigating what has happened on the university campus during these few days or so. The appropriate due diligence will be given to students involved, those that are being identified and those that will be identified. We will give them the benefit of the doubt. At the completion of the investigation, there will be a report. And the report will have recommendations that we will act on. And they will not be the first time of the university making decisions on student violence on the campus. So it will not be a new precedent. It will be a process at the university that we try to ensure that, hey, you have the right to assemble, you have the right to education, you have the right to come on this space, but the other people rights on this space also. This campus is for all of us. And therefore, where your right will end, other people's rights start from there. And so if there are issues, our doors are open. And we have been discussing this with student leaders. There were meetings that were organized by the Office of Student Affairs to meet with them and consider all of these situations. We, as a public university, cannot be in the forefront of disrespecting public policy. If the public health emergency, the rights of some of us, if you understand what public health emergency is, we are bound to ensure the good of everyone. And that is why in the engagement we need to have with our men and women of the university, hey guys, violence cannot solve any problem in our country. Violence will not solve any problem at the university. We are open to all the discussion. There will be agreement and disagreement, and when that time comes, let us respect the views of each other. If we still disagree, let us keep dialoguing. I usually tell people at the university, I used to listen to OK FM when Jala Griffin was there. He said, Jala Griffin chapter 10, verse 1, let us dialogue, talk, and talk. There's nothing wrong with talking. If we were still talking, you will not destroy property. People will not get wounded. And so we all get to understand that there's room for dialoguing, building a culture of peace at the university, a macrocosm of the Liberian society is the starting point for the new Liberia we are looking for. The tactics of the 70s and 80s might not be applicable in the 21st century. And so let our student leaders, let our students understand that. Let us keep talking. For now, offices of deans, chairperson, vice president, the president office are open to listen and talk with our students. So there should be no need for any student or student organization to believe or think logically that violence or throwing stones is the only way to solve problems at the University of Liberia.
Yes, do we have any other question? We have a follow-up.
Yes. Once again, I'm back to this on PLBC. Even though the in-person students said will have to follow the protocols, but I'm concerned whether it will be a requirement for in-person students to have the vaccine card before they attend classes. Even at that, will the youth administration liaise with the health ministry to, locate vaccines on the various campuses of the area?
I shared earlier in the statement that we have consultation with the Ministry of Health that in addition to all the public places that they are providing for vaccine to be taken, in those discussions they have agreed to also add additional places on the campuses of the university. And that process, according to all the different protocol, is voluntary. But at the same time, if you want to be a current student and you want to come on campus where we are building an environment that people who have who observe the health protocol and done the prevention so that the instructor and fellow students are protected, then you need to see how best you work that out. It is your human right not to want to take the vaccine, but it's also the right of the other student to be in that class. And so let's look at the good of the group and the whole community than your own in that light. So we want to appeal that those of us that will be choosing the traditional face-to-face, when you come to your campus, when the police stop you, wash your hand or take your temperature, or that ensure that you are wearing masks, please cooperate. Asking for the traditional face-to-face cannot be outside of the rules or regulation of the public health emergency that we have in the Republic. And so, if there is still the public health emergency in place that we are trying to observe, and you are choosing that you don't want to take the vaccine, you don't want to abide by the protocol, then you don't want to be a current student. You cannot have your cake and eat it at the same time. So all of these provisions are there to ensure that the environment is protected, because beside you, there are 19,000+ other students who are here, our faculty, our staff, and we need to make sure that all of us are protected in the context of this COVID-19 pandemic that we are dealing with. And so, men and women of the university, we appeal to you, please work with us. Let's work with each other so that we can achieve teaching and learning, research, and community service at the state-run University of Liberia.
Okay, thank you very much. Unless you do not have a question, this has been very informative. I'm sure that the President's speech answered most of our concerns. Therefore, we do not have any other further questions. Victoire, at this time, would like to turn it over to you for the closure of the press conference.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the media. I know you still have questions that you want to ask. We will create an opportunity for more engagement with members of the media throughout this week. Our team, our president, as you know, is very media friendly. So there will be some number of media appearances on some of the radio stations, so that more and more interaction with the university, can certainly take place. Our students, here do have a lot of questions. We're working with every dedicated unit here at the university to ensure that all these concerns are addressed, so that we can continue to fulfill the reason why this university was established, to train men and women. So I want to thank you again for responding. I know many of you were calling our offices when the protest was going on, wanting to hear from us. We were frantically engaged in our consultations. So we hope that through your various channels, our messages that have just been delivered through this prepared text by the President of the University of Liberia will be amplified for the benefit of the public about what is happening here at the University of Liberia. We'll give you copies of the text so you can use them in your write-up. But please don't hesitate if you do have any further questions. You can call us, you can contact our team, and we'll do our best to try to provide those answers. Thank you very much for coming, and we look forward to more and more interaction. Thank you.
Okay, folks, that is it. You just listened to a news conference from the University of Liberia. So, till we meet, my name is James Samuel Vidal Flamo. Have yourself a pleasant day.